Have you ever asked yourself, like, what on earth am I doing here? Have you really asked yourself that? And the reason why, well, this is for today's video. So obviously this statement is not just from myself. This is a thought that went through my mind for many, many years. And let's see where this video is going to be going with this. So in the short of it, none of this made sense in my 20s or even my early 30s until I got squeezed by the life experiences. And I experienced some really profound lessons in life. The tough ones, the ones that no one talks about. The experiences where it brings a person down, well, brought me down to my knees. Or having the heart closed at one point. Or experiencing the heartache or the grief or the sadness. And it came from a good place. It came from a place of having a strong work ethic, having a goal, having a vision, and then making it happen. And in many ways I got very, very lucky. Born here in Canada. My parents immigrated from Germany and from Holland. And from the soul's perspective, this place gave me a lot of necessary growth. Now, as I'm mentioning this here, I mentioned that my soul decided for me showing up here in this country called Canada, as it provided a better foundation or a better opportunity than, let's say, growing up somewhere else. So there's no preference for any nationality, for any culture, for any religion, for wherever you show up, whatever the race, whatever the ethnicity is. The soul well chose that type of a background, that type of a scenario. And in this lifetime, I came here to thankfully close all of this. So I'm talking about, like, what on earth am I doing here? We live in this 3D realm. If you take a good look around of really what's going on, anything on social media for today, and let's say anything that's shown on, I have never owned a TV. However, thank God I never had one. With the daily news that goes on there, it made me appreciate that I'm lucky enough living here in this country. And unfortunately, there is things going on here that at the right time this will all be disclosed of what's really going on. Because we're not just as a human being, we're here as a human soul, and we're coming here to experience things in this 3D realm. And what makes it very, very special is this 3D realm has an emotional language to it. And this emotional energy, which the universe responds very, very well to, as frequency, energy, and vibrations. When we decide to show up here, it's not just for myself showing up here. The soul, for every one of us, let's say approximately the 8 billion people that show up, when we're showing up here, we're splashing from a higher dimension from the universe, say in the 5D and higher. And then when we splash into this physical 3D world, there's certain laws, there's certain physics, there's certain mechanics involved here, meaning you cannot bypass it. And what I'm referring to is when we live in this physical 3D realm, we're coming here to learn and grow. So allow me to go a little deeper with this. The soul, when it decides to come here, it's the soul that keeps each and every one of us alive here. It's the soul that's the life force of this. And yes, we live inside of a vast universe, or different types of universes, whatever you want to call it, as the cosmos. And when we show up here in this physical realm, in this physical body, what makes it very, very special here is what is it that's vibrating on the inside? This is a key ingredient here. What's the energy? What's the frequency? What's the emotional energy that's vibrating on the inside? When a soul decides to come here, the soul itself requests a volunteer showing up on its behalf. The soul itself will not come down here because it's too dangerous here. This truly is as an insane asylum, or some other choice words with it. And it's not really, it's a beautiful place. Mother Gaia is a wondrous place and a beautiful place. It's for those that are, unfortunately, things that were put in the wrong hands for many years. When a soul decides to show up here, the soul on the other side, it is able to do all kinds of things, meaning it's able to go into many, many other different dimensions. And the reason why the soul decides to come here, and I'm sharing this from my own experience, when a soul comes here, it is stuck with certain low frequency energies. So you may have heard of the term of the higher self, the soul, the light being. And I've noticed that there's a major focus with focusing on the higher self, which is great. And I'm all in favor of that. What I've noticed is here is that we live in this physical 3D world. So when we show up here, it is to graduate and elevate from this 3D energetic nonsense. It's to really grow up and mature in this little world. Initially, I thought of it with, you have a well-paying job, you're in a relationship, marrying that beautiful lady, the career, and all the goodies that come with it. And at one point, with having that vision, that goal of either being successful, whatever that term of being successful means to one person or to somebody else. And what I found out is at one point, I was caught up in the rat race. And it was a very, very vicious cycle. Crazy hours, long hours, sleep, no sleep. And it was whatever I was doing was never good enough. And what I'm stating that is, even for that, what I just mentioned there, of never being good enough, it was an old program. And the soul, it carries these type of old energies, not from just from this lifetime, but from many other past lifetimes, where every time where technically it was me that kept showing up for the same lifetime experience, the job never got done. Meaning, I was not able at the time, for the many other past lifetimes, with closing up all the emotional entanglements. So these are the interferences from the family, the culture, and the religion. And these are all the things that when we physically show up in this physical world, from the outside looks like a beautiful place. However, the moment we splash in here, when that baby has that first cry, it's like, oh my God, like what on earth am I doing here? It's you again. Or meeting these type of people going, man, I've been here, I've done this before. So the soul's asking that it vibrates at a very, very high frequency. And when we show up here in this low 3D density type world, and thankfully, this plane that we're living in, energetically, it's now in the 5D. Energetically, though, it's still in a physical 3D world. It's to close up all of the emotional entanglements. Because we're not just living in this, or I'm just not living in this physical body. There's a part of us that's also as a spiritual being. So as a human soul with this, we're coming here to close the negative loops, the negative karma. As a soul, it's stuck with this nonsense. So in this lifetime, had I say continued with as a commercial pilot, either as a captain or with whatever else, physically it would have been as a success. However, from all the inherited programming, from all the programming from mom or dad, with no judgment and with no blame with it, all those type of energies would have gone with me with wherever I'd be going with this. So the point of this is, after surviving several near-death experiences, and as an ultimatum, what I found out is that the soul invests a lot of time prior to us showing up here, or prior to me showing up here. And the soul's trusting and praying that every lifetime when we show up here, that it doesn't get wasted or squandered. And I have the understanding that for several lifetimes I showed up here as someone that was either awakened or stepping into the spiritual realm. Yet at the time, I never graduated or elevated out of this 3D place. So what is it that I'm referring to? This is the toughest school ground in the universe, or one of the toughest school grounds in the universe. And it's important with having a closure here from all the emotional entanglements. And these are the initial experiences. I mentioned in another video, the first 9 years are crucial with this. Because it all stems back to how does mom feel, how does dad feel, and how does that one person, me, myself, and I, and for every one of us, how do we feel when we were growing up? And at any time when there's an emotional interference there, when there's a negative experience with whatever it is, that becomes as an ingrained program that gets locked into the subconscious. And this begins the cycle of life here. And what the soul is asking for is, can you please have the experience but without being stuck by it? So later on, by the time I started maturing in my late 30s, I started growing up, and I stopped taking things for granted on many levels. And what I found out is the moment I decided to really clean up everything in my life, meaning what was on the inside and what was all that information floating in between my ears, and I made a conscious decision that, is this really serving me, or is it time for me to let this stuff go? And the moment I started to unplug it and I became aware of it, the awareness of it now is 90% of solving or clearing out whatever it is on the inside. And then the other 10% has to be done through a guided meditation, done through the light, either with your spiritual guides from the light, or with your soul, with your identical self from the light. And as these low frequency energies, as they're clearing out, or as they're cleared out from the foundation and working upwards, once they're closed out from this physical 3D world, it immediately and directly involves the soul with this, as it gives the soul the opportunity to close out its files from its side. The soul is not able to, on the other side, simply does not have there's laws set in place by the universe, where you just cannot, from the soul's perspective, just release any of the karma or any of the energy. So a big reason, I say a real big reason of showing up here, is to close up all of these negative low frequency energies. And as these are being closed, as we live in this low frequency energy, the soul vibrates at a much higher energy. And the moment these lower energies, these lower emotional entanglements, once they start getting cleared out, and you can take a look at it on the Map of Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins, once they start getting closed up, then this is where you can go back into where your guides, your identical self, with your soul, they can close up all of the past life type nonsense and all of those lower frequency energies. So whatever I was attracting, whatever I was vibrating, it became very evident. So do I really want to carry this old nonsense, or do I want to vibrate into this new energy, this new consciousness? And it took me a while to put two and two together with this. And it was not the easiest thing, but it was the most necessary thing. It was the best thing that I've ever done. From all of life's experiences, and the big thing that I've learned here is when I showed up here, when we all show up here, we're all coming here to have an experience. And I had to ask myself, like, the experiences I went through going through and where it will be taking me with this, is this something I really want to experience, or do I want to say I'm willing to let it go and I'm willing to experience something more positive and more uplifting and something that's more elevating for where I'd like to be going with this? The contrast was a painful teacher, or a painful reminder of saying, hey, this felt really good and this didn't feel so good. So the moment I went inside, I said, okay, enough's enough, closed out all the loops of this. And these are all the files, the feelings, and then these are energetic cords that are attached to everything back from childhood. And you can go deeper with this, back to the fetus, back from the parents, the ancestry, and any of the interferences with this, either a cultural, because for every culture that we come from, it has an energy to it. And from the family, from the environment, it all has an attached energy to it. What's the emotional feeling with it? So you have the family interference, the cultural interference, you have the religious interference, and technically the soul doesn't give a damn about any of this. What the soul cares about is, for each and every one of us, that when we show up here, the soul's saying, hey, I'm coming here to assist you, or assisting me along the path here, and to finally break free and liberate from all this 3D nonsense, saying, thank you for the experiences. You don't want to come back here. If you're coming back, you're going to be going back to the same nonsense as in the other past lifetimes. And the soul is simply saying it's time to have a massive closure with this. And once this is closed, And technically, it could be as simple as assisting one other human being while being physically here. This frees one from coming back. And there's a lot of other places to be either visited, explored, and the importance of it is with having a peaceful soul closure with this. And it doesn't take a lifetime doing this type of work. Being this 5D, one can go in there and rapidly close a lot of these files very, very quickly. And when you have that type of a closure, or I wound up having this type of a closure, what I found out is very, very quickly that in this physical world, there's a learning curve with this. And there's a big one. And I've been very, very thankful and very, very grateful with meeting a lot of amazing people, cool people. And what I found out is when I started elevating into the 4D and into the 5D and connected back with my soul, with my light being, there's a whole other brand new steep learning curve with this, and it's steep. So it's something I simply wanted to share today, and just to give something I really wanted to talk about and express there, that there's more to, there's a big meaning in life with this, and all I can share is that while we're here, we only have so much time. And I'm aware from the universe's side, time doesn't exist. However, in this physical world, everything kind of operates here like that. So make the most of it. And I'm grateful and thankful that I made the decision that I did years ago with going in and cleaning everything out. And as it started up-leveling, there's a whole other world with this. And it's a very, very fascinating world. It's a very rewarding world. And it's simply cleared myself out of all the nonsense that I was holding on to. The vices and all that stuff, or need to have a pilot's license or commercial license to be validated by society or from the family, and I don't need that shit anymore. So, something I wanted to share, and yeah, that's it. So, when you have that type of a closure on the inside, it's the coolest things when I go to bed at night. I don't have any of those type of thoughts running around going, man, have I got this to deal with or that to deal with? It's very comforting with that. And every day being thankful and grateful, taking nothing for granted, and being appreciative for what the universe is showing me, Source, Creator, God, with my soul, and being the better version of myself. And it's for every one of us to redeem ourselves back into the arms of the universe. And I'm equally excited for what's going to be showing up here with this massive disclosure, with the 5D ascension process, and wherever this is going to be going. So that's my video for today. And wherever you may be, have yourself a wonderful day. Be kind with yourself, treat each other well. Until next time, have an awesome day.